Build show today, coming to you from the Rhode Island coast, and look who I got with me, the famous Wade Paquin.
How about that?
Wade's an old friend of mine. He's been building only a year or two less than me. How many years have you been building now, Wade?
20.
20 years. And if you haven't seen where I am here in Rhode Island, we are right on the coast. I mean, this is an incredible location with the Atlantic right there. So in the video today, Wade and I are going to run through this build right here, this beautiful shingle style house, and talk about things that you need to think about when you're building coastal. Now this is like second nature for Wade, but when I think coastal, I'm thinking, oh, we got to put some stainless hangers or maybe some stainless nails, but there's a lot more to think about than just a few stainless items on the house. Today's build show from the coast at Wade's job. Let's get going. All right, Wade, we are on the outside of this gorgeous house. What do we need to think about as we're thinking about a coastal build? What are some of the first things that come to your mind as a seasoned coastal builder?
Sure. Well, in this particular situation, I don't know if you can actually, maybe you guys could hear the waves behind me. The ocean's only 100 feet away from us.
Yeah, sorry for the wind noise on our mics.
Yeah,
friends.
you guys might hear a little wind, but so we're super close to the ocean. We're actually in a FEMA flood zone. So this particular house, and you can't quite tell now because we've got the lower walls shingled. These are breakaway walls. We'll get into that later. But this house is actually sitting on 35 concrete piers, about 12 feet above average grade around the house.
Okay.
So we're up above floodplain. So that's important here in this particular project. But then we start looking at, you know, the fact that we're in a wind zone. Yeah. We're exposed to southerly breezes that are our predominant breeze here for most of the year. So right through this whole bay and cove here coming off the open ocean, we've got, you feel it now, we've got constant breeze coming in. And then when we have storms, whether out of the northeast in the winter or the south in the summer, we get that pounding rain, right? So it's critically important for us to have our envelope weather tight. Yeah. You know, so all the flashing details, our fasteners, all those little details are so important to you know, having the longevity of how we're building our envelope.
Yeah, for sure, man. So talk to me then about fasteners, for instance. Like I'm seeing a lot of nails that are actually exposed here on your shingle facade.
Yep, so these are our weaved corners, and we always like to either tack right on the corner or just inside. We do have rain screening behind here. We got a rain slicker. But what I have found when we weave corners is if we bring the slicker too close to the weave corner, it's very difficult to fasten the corner tightly. So we actually put a little piece of solid wood on the corner to allow these nails to bite the wood and without the rain screen, so there's no kind of movement on that weave corner. And then these are all stainless steel ring shank nails to pin the weaves together.
Man, those are beautiful. Those are beautiful. And then what's this exterior white trim I'm seeing everywhere on the outside of your house?
Yeah, so everything white on the exterior of this house is Versatech.
What's that material made from, the Versatech?
That's a PVC product. Versatech is the best PVC product on the market, just because of its color, its cell structure. And we've been using it for a very, very long time with no issues.
That's great. Gotta like that. And then is this white color painted finish, Wade, or is this the factory color that we're seeing?
This is the factory
here?
color. Yep, we'll clean this up later. You know, it's kind of a turnover. One of the turnover tasks is to go around and we'll power wash and clean and wipe everything down.
Love it.
You know, like I said earlier, we've got a lot of breeze here, so it does kick up a lot of dust on the house.
And you mentioned that you're right off the coast, and I'm seeing these vents right here.
Flood vents.
Those are flood vents. Okay.
Yep.
So talk to what does a flood vent mean?
So in the event from, say, storm surge from a hurricane, if we had water coming up to this level of the flood vent is going to be able to open the louver and allow the water to flow through the vents and ultimately pass right through the footprint of the structure. So it's not applying any pressure to the building, it's allowing that flow through the ground level here.
Gotcha. So then what is in this ground level? I mean, you've got solid walls here.
We've got a short frost wall basically between, you can see that here inside. You know, we've got, like I said, 35 concrete piers. These are 18 by 18 inch concrete piers, heavily reinforced with epoxy coated rebar. We actually did an episode on the Build Show Network on my channel on that, so if you guys want to check that out,
sweet.
Go do that. But so we have the piers, we've got the frost walls. The only reason for the frost walls is really to lock in the piers. And then
Interesting. So these frost walls are actually kind of pinning this pier and the other pier together, so they're not moving at all.
That's right. And these frost walls, there's very little load on it. It's just the breakaway wall itself, and they're actually not pinned to the piers.
Now, you've said that term. I don't know what that means. Breakaway wall.
Yeah,
What does that
breakaway.
mean? I don't like my walls breaking away.
Well, it's designed to do just that, break away in the event of storm surge. So this is basically our floodplain up here.
Okay.
So the top part of that, from where you see the blue skin, that is a stationary framing, and that's allowed here based on our flood elevation. From here down, the top plate down, this is your breakaway wall. And the FEMA and the NFIP, National Flood Insurance Program, tells us how to construct these walls, how many fasteners to use, the pattern of the fasteners, the size of the fastener, meaning the nail length. And in the event that we did have storm surge and the ocean rised and was coming in, that this wall is designed to basically break away. So the bottom would get pushed in if the water was coming this way. And because there's not many nails at the top, that it basically becomes a hinge at that point, and the wall would basically hinge, fall down, break away.
Wow, so all these basement walls we're seeing down here are all breakaway walls.
Between every concrete pier on the perimeter is a breakaway wall.
Oh man, that's wild, Wade. How crazy.
And going back to that foundation between the piers that these breakaway walls are sitting on top of, that foundation is to basically lock in the structure of the concrete piers.
Okay, so that's this wall that we're seeing
This wall
right here.
right?
Yep.
In the event that we did have 10 feet, if we were standing in water right now up to our necks, and there was flow to that water, it was being pushed through the project from storm surge, that there's a thing called scour. Scour, think of like a pole or a post on a jetty, and you see a wave come around it, breaks around it. That actually, the water flows faster as it comes around the column. And when it does that, a thing called scour happens, where the dirt, the material at the base of that column will get picked up and removed, and you basically end up with a hole, depression on the back side of that. So if that happened here on these concrete piers, that could compromise the structural integrity of it. So the engineers locked that in with walls and extensive grade beams here. What we're standing on right now is a concrete slab, but below that, 24-inch by 24-inch grade beams, grid pattern, locking all of this in. So it's pretty
And this wall's a breakaway wall. Do these nails that aren't quite set have something to do with that breakaway wall?
Yep, we just want to make sure that we'll finish these, we'll bring them flush, but we need to get this inspected, and we want the inspector to see the size nail we're using on the shaft of the nail and the head of the nail before we drive that home. So we've got our inspection, we passed with flying colors, but this is just one of those visual cues, if you will, to let the inspector know that, hey, we're meeting code. It's here for you to see. We use the right nail.
That's wild, man. How cool.
Yeah.
What are these blocks doing here? These look like they're going to be something special. I see a rabbit.
Yep, these are mostly light blocks and some of our hose bib blocks. It's 5/4 cedar, and you can see it's rabbited out at the bottom. So there's our shingles to tuck in underneath. The shingles get wrapped around, drip cap flashing across the top.
Oh man.
And then you can see this is natural, this is stained. This matches the shingles here for the project. So what we do, this isn't weathered yet, this is starting to, so the color's a little off, but we buy a gallon of stain that this product has on it. So when we're weaving our corners and we're making those end cuts, we seal our end cuts with it. And we're also using that stain to put on the block. So when these get married up together, it blends in, versus, say, having a piece of Versatech, a big white block sticking out that's going to be very visually obvious, right? So we want to kind of just tone everything down. This is one way to do it.
That's wild. Okay, so this will be a basement at some point, and then I'm seeing, and this is, I'm sort of teasing this because I actually saw your video on this, but for those who haven't seen it, I'm seeing that you've got your zip kind of curving around onto these column faces, and they're liquid flashed. What's going on with that detail?
So, my job as a high-end builder, high-performance builder too, is to be thinking through every detail and be thinking ahead too. And this is one of those great examples of thinking ahead. Over here, we'll use this as an example. You can see, I mean, we've hacked this up a little for some mechanicals. We'll cut that back. We'll marry that zip up later. But the reason it's in now around the perimeter of the building here is because if we built this breakaway wall and the stationary component to it tight to the floor joist, the framing in place, I don't have my continuity of my WRB, my air sealing. Particularly, I'm worried about air sealing in here, not so much moisture because we're enclosed.
Right.
But if I did that, I have a break in it, and I don't have that continuity.
Gotcha.
So a little foresight here to put that in place, put our top plate to it, and then now we can marry that up on the underside of this first floor.
So the underside of this whole floor, you can use zip and tape it.
Yep.
And then you're going to have a fully air-sealed bottom floor cavity.
Yeah, with this house being on these concrete piers, we have to treat the underside of the first floor system like it's an exterior wall assembly.
Yeah.
So around each column, there's, the best way we could seal that, air seal that, is with Zip's liquid flash. So,
Yeah, the liquid flash.
so we put the Zip R up, and then we liquid flashed every column to it. And now, so you can see, like in these corners where there'd be no possible way to get a nice seal in there if we didn't do this way ahead of time.
Yeah. Very smart, Wade. What am I missing? What haven't I seen on the coastal build kind of side that you can think of? Man, we've hit a bunch of stuff.
Well, there's certainly a lot to this. I mean, you can just see everything hanging from the ceiling here. So, we're going to be putting our Zip R through this whole underside of the first floor system.
Yep.
So every wire needs to be air sealed. All of our duct penetrations will be insulated because we're not completely exposed here, and we will try and heat and cool the space a little bit. But every penetration that's coming down here will be basically liquid flashing around the Zip to get our air sealing here. So
That's really cool.
I'm excited, but also nervous to find out what our blower door test is going to show after all that's done. So, but yeah, there's certainly a lot to it for sure.
Guys, if you're not following Wade on Instagram, you should definitely go follow him. He's posting all the time about these really cool details, and he builds with some really amazing architects here in Rhode Island. So you should definitely be following him on Instagram. And sign up for our newsletter. There'll be a link in the description. Wade's publishing videos once a week from these jobs in Rhode Island, and he's giving away all his secrets for you to learn. So if you've got a coastal build coming up, if you've got a build that has these kinds of details in the shingles, I have no idea how to do these details. This is not in my wheelhouse whatsoever, but he's been doing it for almost 25 years. So Wade's an amazing resource. Guys, if you're not currently a subscriber, hit that subscribe button below. I've got new content every Tuesday and every Friday. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram. Otherwise, we'll see you next time on The Build Show.